All right, guys, I am back. It's 7:15 p.m. on Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019. And just making this video, guys, regarding the other big risk event that comes out tomorrow at the beginning of the New York session, and that being the Bank of Canada rate decision and statement. All right, so we're going to take a look at that. So I will tell you guys that this one's going to be, you're going to have to take a little time to digest this one. So I'm on Forex Live here, and they have this story posted, 7 things to watch for the Bank of Canada interest rate. And it goes through like all this information here. But really what it's going to come down to, guys, is whether the Bank of Canada pulls back on their rate hiking bias, or whether they, kind of maintain a strong bias on hiking rates this year. They've been very data dependent, and the data has been pretty good, especially as of late from Canada. We had good retail sales numbers come out last week. They're mentioning on this site about this response to business outlook survey, that this is a business survey they do, that they've been putting a little bit more weight on this as of late. The last one came in on April 15th, and it was down. So it's the lowest since Q3 of 2015. They are expecting growth, to be down, to be 1.5% this year, 1.8 next year, which is down over their initial forecast for this year of 1.7 and 2.1 next year. In their last statement, they basically again said that there's uncertainty about the timing of future rate increases, and that it's very data dependent. This is a little snapshot of some of the recent economic data. In March, it actually came in a little bit worse, as well as the ADP number. Housing starts were about the same. Existing home sales was better. This was an important one. Inflation ticked up to over 2%, and retail sales, which came out last week, came out significantly better than expected. So as of late, it's been better. This particular analyst says that he would not be surprised if they actually strike a more hawkish tone. And that's a little bit different than what people are thinking, because there is a consensus across most of the market that they're going to become more dovish. So this is going to be an interesting one. If you look on this Forex Source site, again, this one talks about them, again, being potentially dovish. Expecting that the Bank of Canada potentially drop its hiking bias, so that would be dovish, and send the Canadian dollar down. And it says they believe the Bank of Canada may achieve this through removing the statement that, quote, increase uncertainty about the timing of future rate increases. The Governing Council will be watching close developments in household spending, oil markets, and global trade. In other words, if they take that out and they just say, we're not too thrilled about hiking rates, and they kind of take out this kind of contingency statement, that'll be negative. There's probably going to be a trade here, guys, but this one could be pretty volatile, and I will definitely not be trading going into this news. I will be waiting to see the details of the statement, because there's going to be, we're going to have to really see the statement, and if they change their policy guidance at all. Because again, they're not going to change the rate this time around, but it's going to. So as usual, the question is going to be in the statement itself. And do they strike a more dovish tone? Do they strike a more hawkish tone? And there's some debate about that, or whether they keep it the same. So this is going to be an interesting one. I would be very patient with this, because it might seem some initial ability in one direction, and then as the market kind of digests the statement, you can see it change. So be careful trading this one. The Canadian dollar can be tricky to trade in the first place, but certainly you don't want to jump into this too soon until you kind of get a feel for what the statement is. So I would keep an eye on a site like Forex Live. As the statement comes out, they will update it and provide kind of the highlights and the bullet points. And I think there is a press conference. Yeah, there is a press conference an hour later. So, I don't think that will necessarily change what we see in the statement. The press conference will just be probably mostly a reiterance of the statement, and it'll be, a chance for the press to ask questions, but I don't think that will particularly make much difference. So let's see. Brief look at the charts. Let's look at the CAD yen, the CAD Swiss. So CAD yen, this is the 1 hour chart, and so this is a wave 4. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So of course, we're 12 hours until the news, guys. So this is only an hourly chart. A lot's going to happen. I'll be looking at this pair in the morning, and if this has gone down and we're making a new low here, then I'm going to assume that the news will be positive and this will turn back up. We'll end this wave, this trend, and then we'll turn back up. I actually can see this being the end of a correction. So this is the daily chart. You have potentially, you could be looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This move down, which we just looked at on the daily chart, could come down to, around this low. We could see here's that trend I was looking at. It could maybe come down to, to this area right here, and that would end the trend, and that would potentially end a correction and send it back up. So we'll see. CAD Swiss looks the same way. This is a 30-minute chart, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see we've been in a strong uptrend, and I could definitely see this. We have this big ABC correction right here on the daily. ABC following this move up, so I could definitely see this continuing up. So I mean, from a standpoint of the charts, guys, I would say maybe we may get a surprise and the CAD could strengthen. But again, we're still 12 hours away. I need to see what it looks like at the time. Euro Canadian. I'm just trying to think of some of these cross pairs here. I mean, the euro is weak, so if the Canadian does come out, if the news is better and they strike a more hawkish statement, I think a euro CAD short could be really nice. You could take CAD Swiss long, you could take CAD yen long, you could take euro CAD short, you can maybe Kiwi Canadian short based on the weakness in the Kiwi. U.S. Canadian would be a nice one if they come out more dovish because the dollar is stronger. So this could be a nice move to the upside if it turns out to be weaker. If it's negative, I probably wouldn't take U.S. Canadian. I mean, excuse me, if it's positive, if the Canadian news is positive, I probably wouldn't take the U.S. Canadian. But if it's negative, then certainly that's one I would look at. And then this is Kiwi Canadian. Again, remember the New Zealand dollar is fundamentally has really been hit hard, and so I don't really expect that to change too much. So this could be a correction, and then if we're still going up prior to the news tomorrow, to see this sell back off. So, anyways, guys, that's the 13-hour outlook. A lot to play out between now and then. So the bottom line, like I said, guys, is to wait for the statement to come out and kind of wait for everything to be digested and to have some of the points be really brought out, the summary of the statement in terms of whether there's any clues about them changing their bias. And if they maintain that stronger, more hawkish sentiment about potentially still raising rates this year, then the Canadian's going to go up pretty aggressively. But if they turn more dovish, then expect it to sell off. But that's probably not going to happen right away. It's going to take a little bit of time for the market to digest the statement. So be prepared to wait. I wouldn't even be surprised if it takes until after the press conference, which would be, an hour and a half, 2 hours after the news comes out, before the market really gains its footing. But certainly I wouldn't expect anything to happen right away. But so I will sit patient and try to digest the statement myself. and then make a decision. But I do think there'll be a trade. It's just a matter of whether they change their guidance or not. So a tricky one, unlike the Aussie one that's coming out in a couple hours. This one's going to be a little bit more tricky to interpret because it's not just numbers. It's you're going to have to read the tea leaves a little bit. So anyways, guys, so that's it. Happy trading. And again, later on tonight, maybe I'll make another video as a follow-up to the Aussie CPI when it comes out at 9:30 in about 2 hours. And then maybe I'll make one tomorrow after the Canadian news comes out, maybe tomorrow afternoon. So, all right, guys, we will talk to you soon. And in the meantime, happy trading out there, and talk to you soon. All right, make sure you like the video, share, like the channel, etc., etc. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all soon.